$5 million is enough to do anything, but it's not quite enough to do everything. So the only real question left is which things and when. And I think most retirement videos get that question wrong. They're all solving for the same thing. How do I never run out of money? And that matters, but I think that's table stakes because there's a second thing you don't want and almost nobody plans for it. You don't want to die with regret. And you want to avoid a I wish I would have retirement. And here's the difference. Most videos that I watch are answering, how do I get levelized income maybe $200,000 a year forever? That's not really the question that I get. When someone with $5 million sits down across from me, what they want to know is, how do I get $300,000 a year for the first 10 years and still not run out of money? How do I front load the cash flow in my retirement? And that's what I'm showing you today on screen with a simple spreadsheet that you can download for yourself for free. And I'll even give you the reason why more people are looking to front load their retirement spending. If you're new to the channel, my name is Benjamin Brandt. I've been a retirement planner for almost 20 years, and I want to help you have an even better retirement. So why are retirees asking me about front loading their spending earlier on in retirement? Well, I think it's because they're facing an uncomfortable truth. You might only get a few good years of retirement. And honestly, that's true regardless of how much money you saved. So I'll show you the data. According to the WHO, that's the World Health Organization, and analyzed by tracking groups like the Kaiser Family Foundation, the healthy life expectancy in the US is about 64.4 years. That's the point roughly where your health starts to bend for the average person. Not end entirely, but just bend. We start to lose some of our energy and mobility and stamina. They peak somewhere in their 60s, and then that line starts to tip over. Now, line that up against when people actually want to retire in this country. A MassMutual survey puts that average retirement age at about 62. Gallup did a poll where they looked at people that were already retired, and that's closer to age 61. Census data through Boston College's Retirement Research Center comes in at about 63 for women and 65 for men. So let's call that our early to mid 60s. That's the average American retirement start date. Now put those numbers side by side. If your health starts to slip around age 64 and the average person retires at 61 or 62 or 63, that kind of means depending on which survey you believe, you might have 1 or 2 really good years after you hand in your badge and you retire. And if you're a man retiring at 65, well, that decline may have already started before your first day of retirement. We always talk about the shiniest of your golden years. Well, we're aiming at that first decade of retirement. Maybe for you, it is a full decade. I hope it is. But if you take these numbers at face value, for some people, it's going to be closer to 10 months than 10 years. And I don't say that to scare you. I say that because here's what I've noticed after almost 20 years of doing this. You've got 2 assets in retirement. We have your portfolio and you have your body, your physical health. One of those we can rebuild. You can always save more. You can always work another year. You can always wait for the market to bounce back. The other one, your health, you can only slow down the decline. So what are we going to do about it? And how are we going to change how we treat our $5 million portfolio? Well, here's how almost every video on this topic works. You've got $5 million, you divide it across a 30-year retirement and you adjust for inflation, and then you ask, will it last? And honestly, that does make sense on the surface. That's how you thought about money your entire life. Here is my pile of money. How do I make it last? In fact, that exact instinct is the reason that you have $5 million in the first place. You saved for a long time, you delayed gratification, you were willing to work 1 more year and 1 more year and 1 more year. That instinct worked really well and built a fantastic nest egg. So that's where we'll start our conversation. Are you going to ever run out of money? Now, spoiler alert, no, you're not going to run out of money. In fact, if you're the median retiree, you'll barely make a dent in your portfolio, and I'll prove it to you with 3 data points. Number 1 is the ERBI, that's the Employee Benefit Research Institute. They tracked exactly what retirees do with their money. And households with more than $500,000 in non-housing assets, they analyzed their plan, or they checked in with them at 20 years. And over a 20-year retirement, the median household spent down about 12% of their assets, 12% of what they started with. Again, barely making a dent. Data point number 2, Michael Kitces has a lot of research on the 4% rule. And he says that the median retiree using the 4% rule finishes a 30-year retirement with about 2.8 times the portfolio that they started with. So saying that plainly, you start with $1 million, you spend from it for 30 years, and at the end, the median outcome, the middle outcome, is close to $3 million. Data point number 3, the 4% rule, as a reminder, is based on a worst-case scenario. It was designed around the worst starting point for retirement in modern history. Across most 30-year periods in history, retirees could have safely withdrawn far more than 4%. In fact, in some stretches, it was well into the double digits. In fact, to further drive home my point, I interviewed Bill Bangan, the author of the 4% rule, on my podcast, my Retirement Starts Today podcast. And actually, his new 4% rule is closer to the 5% rule. So here's where that leaves us. Will $5 million last for 30 years? Yes. Overwhelmingly, provably, very boringly, your retirement money will last for 30 years. It's not just that you likely won't run out. It's that you'll probably barely make a dent and will probably continue to accumulate. The most likely outcome for a super saver with $5 million is that you die with significantly more than you retired with. So if all of your planning energy is pointing at don't run out of money, you're aiming at a target you've already hit. You've already won. Nobody told you it's time to play a different game. So if running out of money isn't the scary thing, well, what is? In my experience, having hundreds of these conversations a year, the thing to be worried about is the limited window of health span. Everybody else is dividing $5 million by 30 years. I want you to divide it by how many years you can actually enjoy your money and making sure that you don't run out at the end. Because those 30 years are not equal, not even close. In fact, when I have conversations with clients, an extra $10,000 a year at age 60 is infinitely more valuable than an extra $10,000 at age 90. That first stretch of retirement, let's say 60 to 70, those are your go-go years. That's when you can travel and we can still carry your own bag through the airport. Then we've got our slow-go years, right? The trips get a little shorter and that bucket list gets a little smaller. Then we've got our no-go years. That's when we're watching Matlock reruns and eating cottage cheese, and that really doesn't cost all that much. So let's do some napkin math here, and I want to make sure that it's very clear. This is napkin math, very rough numbers, rounded off with some assumptions, and I'm going to talk through this out loud. So take $5 million. You want to front load it into that first 10 or 15 year window, that shiniest of your golden years. You can run a much higher than sustainable withdrawal rate early because two things are true. This specific window has a defined ending date, this front loading, and Social Security and maybe a pension is sitting behind it waiting to jump in and reduce your portfolio withdrawals if and honestly when the market gets rough. So at that front loaded rate, you're looking at something in the neighborhood of maybe $300,000 or $350,000 in annual spending, keeping in mind a 4% rule would be closer to $200,000. Again, this is before Social Security starts, which means when we compare our spending plan, a front-loaded plan, to a standard plan that treats every phase of retirement exactly the same, your average retiree is sitting on $100,000 or more per year of untapped potential that's already in their portfolio. They just haven't figured out how to optimize it yet. The only years that they'll statistically really be able to fully enjoy their money is probably that first 10 years. And again, I share this not to cast aspersions on any other type of planning. I share this because I've been an advisor long enough to have seen clients all the way through retirement, from the retirement party to the funeral. Sure, sometimes that's 20 years plus, sometimes it's a lot shorter than that. And I want you to have all the information available to you to make the decision best for your retirement goals. Now, real quick, if you love retirement content, but you've only got a few minutes every week to look for the good stuff, don't worry, I've got you covered. Every week I go find the best retirement content on the internet, everything from podcasts to videos to articles, and I send it to your inbox. So check out thisweekinretirement.com or click the link in the description. We'd be happy to have you on the list. All right, let's look at an example with some real fake people. I've worked on countless retirement plans with very similar numbers to this, but of course, people don't exactly want their business out on the internet. So let's meet Zach and Kelly from California. If they look familiar, you probably went to high school with them if you went to Bayside High. Both age 60, $5 million in combined household portfolio assets. So to keep this example simple, all $5 million is liquid and it's in broad index funds, and we are ignoring home equity for these purposes. Zach and Kelly want to spend around $28,000 per month, and like I mentioned, neither of them have claimed Social Security yet. That's built into the plan for when the market pulls back. In order to have a solid retirement income plan, I want to make sure we have all of the following. Number one, make sure the money lasts. Number two, protect the back end. Make sure we have lots of cottage cheese money for when we're in our 80s. And we do that by maximizing Social Security or getting very close to maximizing our Social Security. And finally, number three, pulling cash flow forward. We want to make the most of the shiniest of our golden years. So we are treating an extra $10,000 of income in our 60s as much more valuable than an extra $10,000 of income in our 90s. So here we are inside of Zach and Kelly's retirement income guardrails. And like most of our clients, Zach and Kelly have their accounts in tax deferred. So Kelly has $4 million and Zach has $750,000, all totaling up as a household of a nice round $500,000. They want to spend $28,000 a month. Retirement income guardrails, if you want to learn more about them, you can Google Guyton and Klinger. Retirement income guardrails, two guys, Guyton and Klinger, and retirement income guardrails. And you can read the research for yourself. But basically it says, if I am willing, we're looking at the sustainable column here, if I'm willing to move my income with the market, with my portfolio, then I can spend significantly more than traditional safe withdrawal rates. Safe withdrawal rates are based on a linear cash flow. Guardrails are based on a cash flow that can move. And basically what it says is, if my portfolio drops by 20%, I'll drop my income by 10%. If my portfolio increases by 20%, I will increase my income by 10%. And you can check out the research for yourself, but most retirements have somewhere around 2 to 3 cuts and 3 to 5 raises. Tricky part is we just don't know what order those will come in. So that's why we map it out in a spreadsheet. So Zach and Kelly want to spend $28,000 a month, which is a 6.2% withdrawal rate. Now, most people would say that's not sustainable. And I would agree that it's probably not sustainable. There have been many cases of 30-year retirements where that has been sustainable, but it's not meant to be sustainable in this case because we are accounting for the lumpiness of cash flows. And what do lumpy cash flows look like? Well, everybody has them in their retirement plan. It usually shows up as Social Security, which we do not have turned on yet, or your house being paid off, or your pension starting, or the kids move out, or we're done paying for college. It could be anything. In fact, we set out 7 boxes here that you can check on and check off because a lot of people have very lumpy cash flows. In fact, that as I see it, that's the purpose of this $5 million portfolio, is to iron out those lumpy cash flows and to pull those cash flows forward. We strongly believe that an extra $10,000 at age 60 is significantly more valuable than an extra $10,000 at age 90. So how do we map that out? Well, if we look at our estimated cash flows, $28,000 per month, 6.72% withdrawal rate, we would only have about $22,000 above our lower guardrail before we'd have to reduce our income, which is not much cushion. But we have not accounted yet for our future cash flows. So Kelly is planning on turning on Social Security at her full retirement age at 67, and she's going to earn $3,000 a month. Zach is going to turn on his at 70 in 10 years and earn $4,500 a month. And then they're going to pay off their house in 15 years, and that's going to save them about $3,000 a month. So every cash flow change in the future that we can account for now, it allows us to pull more cash forward. Said differently, if we set this up like a traditional retirement plan, like a lot of advisors might encourage you to do, and we stayed in the sustainable range, well, we could only spend $22,000, $22,500 per month. And then in 7 years, when Kelly starts Social Security, then we can take a raise of $3,000 per month. Or she could start at 62, or Zach could start at 67, whatever your version of that is, where I live on my portfolio, and then when I start Social Security, I'm taking an increase of income. We're flipping that around and saying, I'm going to live on that now, and then when I hit that age and I turn on Social Security, I'm going to take less from my portfolio. So I'm using my portfolio to front myself, almost borrow from myself, my Social Security. And I'll show you what that looks like. So if we look here, we've got $22,000 above our lower guardrail. Then we account for Kelly's Social Security. So in 7 years, I'm going to take out $3,000 a month less, and my surplus goes from $22,000 to $121,000. So I've got a little bit bigger buffer before I need to reduce my income, $121,000 of portfolio buffer. Then we also want to account for Zach's Social Security, and that bumps us up to an $800,000 buffer, which would lead me to believe we could probably spend more, but $28,000 is their retirement income goal. And then every cash flow that we can account for further allows us to pull forward more cash flow. So what if we account for the house being paid off? Well, that gets us to $1.5 million almost of portfolio surplus. And the reason the surplus gets so much larger if we uncheck these, it's because we go from a 6.57% withdrawal rate to a 5.49% withdrawal rate to a 4.6% withdrawal rate. Now, keep in mind, if we use something like the 4% rule, that's an inflation-adjusted 4%, meaning it's only 4% the first year. So if we are 15 years into retirement, we could be at a 5 or a 5.5% safe withdrawal rate, which was started at the 4% rule. Well, if we properly account for these cash flows, we're at a 4.6% withdrawal rate. So not only were we able to front load our cash flow using our portfolio to the shiniest of our golden years, we engineered a portfolio that's actually going to be safer than the safe withdrawal rate just by optimizing all of our assets. We're optimizing our portfolio cash flows. We're optimizing Social Security. We're optimizing we're paying off of our house. We're getting credit for those in the first decade of retirement. And then as we bring online these guaranteed income sources, we're just reducing our portfolio. So our adjusted portfolio withdrawal goes down to $25,000, then it goes down to $20,000, then it goes down to $17,500. So you can download this tool for yourself. It's a free download. I think it's been downloaded several thousand times. You have to be somewhat knowledgeable in Excel, and you have to have the most recent version of Excel, or some of these formulas will have translation errors. And we don't have anything for numbers in anything in the Mac world. I guess I'm in the Microsoft world here, and that's just what we have available to us. So check out this tool for yourself. It's a free download, and I think you'll have a lot of fun with it. And that's the whole game. You don't need a bigger portfolio. You need a better plan customized to you. So go grab that calculator. The link's in the description. It's free and you can run your own numbers tonight. By the way, if you want to create a plan just like this and you also want to talk about investments and taxes and all the other fun stuff, I think you'll love our Retired Ready Blueprint and you can learn more at the link below. Now, one thing I want to point out, because pulling your cash flows forward can sound like, well, let's just take fancier vacations. And it can mean that, and if that's your goals, you should do that. But there are really three things that money buys us in our 60s that we just can't buy in our 80s. And the first is experiences that require a body that can cooperate. I've got a colleague, Rita, along with my mom, who's been leading Habitat for Humanity mission builds for about 15 years. And some of our clients occasionally go along. And you can imagine what that entails. You're swinging a hammer all day, you're climbing ladders, you're pouring concrete. And every single one of them, after the trip, they said the same thing. They were glad they did this in their late 50s and early 60s because there's really no way they'd have that stamina at 75 or 80 or 90. The second thing people want to account for when they're front loading their retirement spending is time with people while they're still healthy. Not just you being still healthy, but them too. Your friends, your siblings, your parents, if you still have them. That trip you want to take with your grandkids while they're still young enough to want to come along. People want to account for that. And the third thing we're accounting for is the one that I think about the most, and that is giving with warm hands instead of cold hands. And here's what I mean. $10,000 to your kid at 25, maybe that's for a down payment or a wedding or to get them out from underneath a student loan. That money changes the trajectory of their financial life. Now compare that to $100,000 to that same kid at 65 after you're gone, when they're already established, maybe they're in their peak earning years, maybe they're already financially independent. Granted, that $100,000 is still a blessing, but it's much less impactful than that smaller gift a few decades earlier. Same family, same money, totally different impact because of when it showed up. And the best part about giving with warm hands versus cold hands is that you are still here. You're still in the room. You get to see it and you get to be there for the thing that your money made possible. The same is true for charity. If there's a cause that you plan to leave money to, well, you could leave it once you're gone, or you could give it now and watch what the money is capable of doing. So why will you probably never need more than $5 million? Well, because in my experience, at 8 million or at 10 million, no new options appear. You just have more money. And if we properly load your retirement spending, we can better take advantage of what money can't buy, and that's your health span. Thanks for watching.